Electric cars in the month of May are up 55% worldwide. This is just the start. Remember, the second half of the year is always way bigger for EVs globally. So the rest of this year, more than likely, in total, we're going to see more than 8 million electric car sales worldwide. This is insane. It's exciting. Well, I love being a part of this whole project and sharing this stuff with you. Hello, my friends, and welcome to the channel. I'm the Electric Viking. Great to see you. The winners and losers of the electric car market worldwide are very interesting. And frankly, it's quite shocking when you look at the list to see just how badly Ford and General Motors are doing. I mean, realistically, they've got a lot of plans, and those plans very well may come to fruition in the future. But right now, their electric car sales worldwide, frankly, are, well, pretty devastatingly abysmal. However, who are doing well? As you know, Chinese electric car companies are pretty much dominating the list, and they're actually extending their lead. However, there is a surprise new entrant into the top 20. Let's have a look and find out who it is. Now, Jose Pontes reports for Clean Technica that global plug-in vehicle registrations were up 55% in May 2022 compared to May of 2021. The insane thing about that is that, during the month of May, there still was massive effects from the COVID lockdowns in China felt in the electric vehicle industry in Shanghai, all over the world. They've definitely influenced deliveries and production. If that hadn't have happened, I think deliveries would probably be up about 80% versus the same month last year. With the China COVID lockdown now coming to an end really, and the effects slowing down, sales are starting to recover their recent pace, reaching 700,000 registrations in May. Now, impressively, that's 12% of the global automotive market. Now, Jose says that considering the steep drops in the global car market and that plugless hybrids were down for the second month in a row, that should be considered an incredible result. So if you remove the hybrid equation, electric vehicle sales were actually up more than what I just reported. They're actually up 65% versus the same month last year. They grew much faster than plug-in hybrids, which are up only 37%. One of the key reasons plug-in hybrid sales are down so much is because people in Europe are choosing to move away from them. Plug-in hybrid sales in Europe are going down, whereas electric vehicle sales in Europe are going up. Across all of Europe, electric vehicle sales represented 11% of the entire automotive market this year. 8.1% of those are fully electric, the rest are plug-in hybrids. So here's the top 20 list for the month of May. This includes plug-in hybrids and fully electric cars. In first place was the Wuling Hongwan Mini EV with 34,000 deliveries worldwide. Second place, we've got the BYD Song Plus, a combination of fully electric cars and plug-in hybrids with 32,000 deliveries. Next was the Tesla Model Y with 28,000. Next, BYD Han with 24,000. Next up was the Tesla Model 3 with 22,600 deliveries. And then as you looked further down the list, well, you'll find, surprisingly, Volkswagen came in ninth place, its best ever result for a single model globally. With the Volkswagen ID4, Volkswagen delivered 10,700 of those in May. However, if you want to find another legacy auto manufacturer, the only one you'll find in this list, in the top 16 EVs delivered worldwide, was the Hyundai Ioniq 5. Unfortunately, Hyundai only delivered 8,000 of those worldwide during the month of May. Now, hopefully, they can increase that to 80,000 next year, but I wouldn't hopes up for that happening anytime soon. Now, realistically, the Ioniq 5 has won a bunch of awards this year. It's a great car. That's why I'm disappointed in the deliveries. There's so many more people that should be able to get one of these. Frankly, here in Australia, we can't get them. They're they're so rare and so difficult to get that it's sort of like saying, you know, there's all these video comparisons on YouTube saying, hey, look at the Ioniq 5 versus this car. Look at the Ioniq 5 versus that car. And it's kind of like, yeah, that's great. But I mean, you might as well say, look at the spaceship versus this spaceship, because I can't buy them. So what's the actual point of that? That's the issue that I have with the Ioniq 5. And I've called its praises. I think it's maybe the best EV in the world, potentially right now. That said, there are better value Chinese EVs, no question, better value. But in terms of the best EV, it might be the Ioniq 5. But the difficulty is getting your hands on one. Now, surprisingly, Ford actually entered this top 20 list with the Mustang Mach-E. They came in 18th place and actually beat Kia with the EV6, who were in 19th place. In 20th place was the Fiat 500e. Now, there's been a lot said about the Fiat 500e lately because it's been, for a few months in a row, it led electric vehicle sales deliveries in Europe. But as you can see, its total deliveries are actually pretty low in comparison to global electric vehicle sales all over the world. I mean, for example, Fiat 500e, 6,500 deliveries, Kia EV6, 7,700. Then the Ford Mustang Mach-E with 7,800. Compare those to, say, the Tesla Model Y with 28,000 or the Wuling Hongwan Mini EV with 34,000. There's a huge, huge difference in terms of production numbers. Now, the Wuling Hongwan Mini EV actually, even though it's doing incredibly well right now, I don't think those numbers will continue. Reality is, Wuling is actually starting to sell those worldwide, which is great, and that will help them to maintain sales momentum. But honestly, in China, there are now, in my view, better cars for the same price. In fact, I would say significantly better cars for a pretty close ballpark price range. Cars that look much nicer, look much more like a car, cars that are bigger than this. So there's definitely some competition. That said, Wuling, General Motors, and SAIC are bringing a newer version of the Hongwan Mini EV, which is going to be bigger and have a battery with almost double the range. That car should help them as well. Now, if you want to see some competition to this car, well, you've got the Lumen Corn. There's a few other models as well. I'll put some links in the description below if you want to check out some of the competition to the Wuling Hongwan Mini EV. Now, if you look at this list closely, you'll see there's 4 different BYD models in the top 7 worldwide. I expect that to likely continue this year. BYD are going to ramp up electric vehicle deliveries faster than any of their competition, except maybe Tesla. Realistically, when you manufacture vehicles and products in China, you can ramp things up faster than you can in the West. It's just a reality of doing business. Now, one car manufacturer worth making note of is Leap Motor. With the T03, they delivered 7,156 of just that one model alone, meaning they came in 13th place. Now, this car is actually a competitor to the Hongwan Mini EV, as is the Cherry QQ Ice Cream, which came in 14th place. This means that these quadricycles, these small city electric EVs, took out first place and 12th place in the list, which is pretty impressive. And this is a growing market worldwide. These mini EVs, I believe, are a very important car in the future. And the number of vehicle sales that are going to be delivered worldwide in this category are just going to keep on skyrocketing as the prices of these cars stay very, very affordable. Well, now let's have a look at the year-to-date table. Who are the winners and losers for the first 5 months of this year from January to May? Well, obviously, Tesla Model Y leads the list by a very wide margin. 215,000 deliveries, which is incredible considering more than a month of the year their main factory producing these cars was basically shut down. Second place, Tesla Model 3 with 165,000 deliveries. And then in third, you have the Wuling Hongwan Mini E with 161,000 deliveries. Fourth place was BYD. Fifth place, again BYD. Sixth place, BYD. Seventh place, BYD. Eighth place, BYD. So what does that mean? BYD took out 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th place in the best-selling electric vehicle tally worldwide so far for the first 5 months of this year. That, my friends, is crazy. And it's what I've been predicting on this channel now for probably 10 months or more. You can check it out in my videos that I made back last year. I think as far as I know, I was the only person saying this, what was perceived as crazy stuff at the time, that BYD would do this. And it's really kind of interesting to see what has happened. Now, the only legacy automaker coming in the top 10 was Volkswagen with the ID4 in 10th place with 47,000 deliveries so far this year. The Cherry QQ ice cream, the competition to the Wuling Hongwan Mini EV, that came in 11th place. And then you got the Hyundai Ioniq 5 in 12th place with 44,000 deliveries. Now looking at this list, there's something interesting here. Kia EV6 comes in 16th place with 34,600 deliveries. And then all the way down in 19th place we have the Ford Mustang Mach-E with 31,200 deliveries, which is, it's okay. It's really, to be honest, not all that different to where they were at last year. That surprises me a bit because, Ford keeps saying they're ramping up production, but production of the Mustang Mach-E really hasn't changed at all for 12 months. So I am struggling to know what's going on at Ford, and I want to know what's going on at General Motors. Ford and General Motors don't have a single car in the top 18 electric vehicle sales worldwide. Now, I know they're in 19th place with the Mustang Mach-E. Sure, give them that. But frankly, really, these numbers are quite alarming. General Motors and Ford are saying a lot of things. They're talking the talk. Same with Volkswagen. Volkswagen only have a single model in this top 20 list, a single car. And the thing is, that would be okay if it was doing the kind of numbers that either the Tesla Model Y or the Tesla Model 3 were, but it's nowhere near. It's not even remotely close. Have a look at this comparison. 47,000 of the ID4 versus the Tesla Model Y with 215,000. And the reality is, this year, if anything, the numbers will probably skew more in favor of the Model Y as production ramps at their German factory, as production goes back to normal in China. Apparently, the Chinese factory is going to increase production by around 50% by the 7th of August this year. So these kind of news articles we're seeing coming out saying Volkswagen's going to beat Tesla in 2024, I frankly don't understand how anyone in their right mind would take any of this even remotely seriously. General Motors, Ford, and Volkswagen are just so far behind BYD and Tesla right now that anyone who thinks they're going to catch up to them in a matter of 2 years, I really think has to be extremely emotionally connected to that brand. Either that, or they simply hate Tesla or BYD potentially as well. I don't know. That's the only possible logical way people could think that those three automakers, Volkswagen, Ford, and General Motors, have any hope in catching Tesla or BYD in the next couple of years. It just isn't logically feasible. Now, if we have a look at, the manufacturers with the top plug-in vehicle electric sales, so combination of electric cars, fully electric, and plug-in hybrids, we see that BYD is easily in first place with 506,000 deliveries so far in the first 5 months of the year, which is pretty damn incredible for China because China's vehicle sales market is always historically bad for the first 3 months of the year. In fact, it's incredibly bad for the first 3 months of the year. In particular, February. Numbers in February are normally maybe around about 10 to 20% of typical numbers that we see in November or December in China's car market. So realistically, these numbers here are going to be so much bigger for BYD towards the end of this year. But there's one issue here that I've got to point out. BYD is production constrained. They have 500,000 pre-orders. So whether or not BYD can up their production numbers to be able to meet this demand, I would think BYD could easily be selling 250,000 vehicles a month if they could make them. Can they do it? Maybe. Maybe we'll see those numbers in December of this year. Tesla is sitting in second place with 407,000 deliveries. SGMW with 183,000. Then BMW surprisingly with 126,000. Volkswagen 115,000. Of course, the majority of the vehicle sales for BMW and Volkswagen were plug-in hybrids that made up those numbers though. SAIC came in next with 95,000, then Kia with 93,000, Hyundai next with 90,000, Chery with 89,000. Ford came in 17th place worldwide with 54,443 global deliveries. They've got a lot of work to do. Now, interestingly, of these top 20 automakers worldwide for electric cars and plug-in hybrids, 11 of the top 20 are Chinese owned or Chinese. That is probably why, one of the reasons why more than 50% of all electric vehicle sales worldwide this year have been in China. We've got to say, really, we have to thank the Chinese for actually making EVs, taking them seriously, and for making solar and taking solar seriously. They've obviously brought down the cost of both of those technologies massively. So yeah, I mean, fair point, fair. We've got to give credit where credit is due, right? Now, it's worth actually pointing out the fact that this data doesn't reflect groups. If we look at groups as a whole, BYD still leads with 507,000 deliveries. Tesla is still in second place with 407,000 as well. SAIC, though, jumps up now to 280,000. And then in fourth place, Volkswagen actually has 253,000, because now we're including their other brands like Audi and Skoda, etc., etc. In fifth place is the Hyundai Kia group with 186,000. Now, if you look at these numbers, yes, it does now look like Volkswagen is pretty close to Tesla, doesn't it? 253,000 versus 406,000. It's not all that far off, but the reality is the majority of those vehicles in these numbers here for Volkswagen are plug-in hybrid. So if you exclude those, then actually Tesla is well and truly a long, long way ahead. Now, if you exclude plug-in hybrid vehicles, period, from this list completely, then Tesla will leapfrog BYD, as so far this year, Tesla has made more electric cars than anyone else in the world, and it's actually leading that race by a pretty wide margin. Now, Jose has shared some interesting stuff here, which I'll share with you as well. He talks about looking into the future, and he says the main four OEMs have different challenges ahead of them that might limit their sales in the foreseeable future. BYD's challenge for them is exports, with a fast growth strategy basically relying on its domestic market. The brand, now third in the overall market in China, could reach market saturation. Well, I think he's not quite right there, because if they've got 500,000 pre-orders, market saturation is a long way away. Let's remember, this is a country of 1.4 billion people. They can sell a lot of cars. We're talking about a car market of, this is 1/3 of the global car market. There's about 24 million cars sold per year in China. Long way to go before BYD gets anywhere near close to market saturation. The other thing to remember is, yesterday BYD announced that they're selling now in New Zealand. Their cars are on sale now in Australia. Their cars are on sale in Brazil, Costa Rica, Philippines, India. They're going to Europe. They're already on sale in Norway. Many other countries in Europe are coming soon. So I don't think this is going to be too much of a challenge for them. And if you're thinking, well, what about actually getting sales overseas? Well, Australia is a great example. Their vehicles only just gone on sale here recently, and they already have 4,000 pre-orders in a very small market here in Australia. Now, Jose says Tesla's challenge is a limited lineup. And I think he's got a good point here. He says, with the Tesla Model S and the X far from their best days, which were some 120,000 units together, the Model 3 currently on autopilot is only up 1% year over year. So the company is pretty much sitting on the Tesla Model Y in order to expand the brand. Now, personally, I'm not sure this is an issue now. I think it will be long term, but I believe Tesla could actually become the first electric vehicle company in history to have the world's top selling model, period, globally. The reason I say that, Tesla Model 3 actually came in 8th place worldwide in terms of model sales, and it wasn't all that far off the best-selling vehicles. It's actually feasibly possible that Tesla could sell more Model Ys than any other vehicle in the world next year. In the long term, though, yeah, they definitely do need to diversify with their models, and of course that's why they'll be making the Model 2, the Model A, whatever you want to call it. Now, many of you think that that's been cancelled. It has been cancelled. We just don't have firm concrete results. We don't have any firm concrete images on when it's coming out. Obviously, we've heard many times Tesla talk about their design facility, their production facilities in China that will be making a new car, which is, of course, a smaller car, a more affordable EV, which is what Tesla need as their next global big selling model. Something more affordable, something smaller. My prediction is the Model 2 will be like a hatchback type vehicle, which will have two variants. One will be like a hatchback variant, and the other will be the jacked up variant, which will be kind of the smaller crossover vehicle, kind of like a Tesla Model Y, but smaller. Now, Jose says that SAIC's challenge is the Wuling Mini EV addiction. With the little Wuling Mini EV representing 58% of SAIC's total plug-in sales, the Shanghai OEM has a significant case of one model addiction, and it's not like Tesla where it doesn't have a full lineup of models to avoid it. No, SAIC's case is strange in that despite having no blocks to exporting it, it sold 50,000 units last year in Europe alone. Hear that? To you guys saying the Wuling Hongwei Mini EV can't be sold worldwide? They sold 50,000 units in Europe last year. So, like I keep on saying on this channel, stop repeating information unless you know it's factually true. There's so many people repeating this information in the comment sections all over the internet, and because someone else repeats it in the comment section, everyone else believes it. Yes, the Wuling Hongguang Mini EV can actually be sold worldwide. It already is being sold worldwide. Now, Jose says that the MG4, or the Mulan, might be the answer to SAIC's dependence on this one single model, the Wuling Hongguang Mini EV, and I think they're right. MG already sells the MG ZS EV here in Australia, and it's an incredibly popular EV. But the new MG4 Mulan, I think, will be even more popular. Now, I made a video about that car. I'll put a link in the description below to that video. You can check that out. Volkswagen Group, what's their challenge? Jose says China, and I agree. I've been saying this as well. While many of the immediate problems that the German conglomerate has in Europe are short-term production constraints and should be solved with time, the truth is that the group is in danger of losing its most important market, China, where there has been seismic changes in the automotive market due to the rise of plug-ins. With Volkswagen being the perennial leader in the largest market in the world, a large share of Volkswagen sales and profits come from there. However, with plug-ins quickly growing there to the point that they are already representing over 30% of sales, connected to the fact that Volkswagen Group only has 3.5 to 4% of the plug-in market in China, one has to wonder where the OEM will compensate the massive losses it will certainly suffer in China. It won't be in Europe, where it already has to face with stiff competition. Stellantis, Hyundai, Kia, and the new Tesla and Chinese OEMs. It won't be in North America either, because whatever growth the German group gets there will be a fraction of what it will lose in China. So, if they really need to stay one of the big boys, they need to recover significant ground in China. Which raises the question, are they willing to throw everything plus the kitchen sink into the most competitive, cutthroat market in the world? I mean, if they haven't even launched the Skoda Enyaq there yet? Good question. Jose, brilliantly written. I totally agree with you. Now, there's an interesting comment in the comment section here, replying to what Jose has said about the problems of SAIC and Tesla only having one or two models that they rely on. Immortal Defiance said this, sure, but each automaker only needs to make one or two models and focus on a couple of segments until massive scale is achieved. Making multiple models only dilutes their manufacturing efficiency. I've been saying this for a long time about Volkswagen in particular is planning to have 80 different electric cars. Same with General Motors having 50 different electric cars. I think it's excessive. Making multiple models only dilutes their manufacturing efficiency, which slows down EV addiction and production considerably. Model variety will come in time. There's no need to rush that. Model variety comes at the cost of adoption. Between Tesla, BYD, and Wuling, there are only about a dozen EV models, yet they take around half the global volume of electric vehicle sales. They move fast by focusing on a small portion at a time. Other brands are more than welcome to fill in the gaps. Each brand does not need a model in every single segment. Dividing up finite time resources is a way to become a jack of all trades, but master of none. If we look at the overall auto market, we can see where all the highly profitable cars and trucks are. They are the ones that sell in massive quantities, the Corolla, the Camry, the F-150, etc., all selling more than 500,000 per year per single model. That is where automakers make their money. Producing a few thousand of a dozen models will just give a subsistence level of EVs rather than seeing their full growth potential. Couldn't have said it better myself. This is said brilliantly. I've been saying this on this channel many times. Now, General Motors has promised, like 20 EVs by 2023. There's been huge numbers of promises from multiple brands. They're not the only ones saying this, saying they're going to make, 50 different EVs from one brand within the next 5 years. And I have to say, is that a path to profitability? I don't think it is. Now, let me know in the comment section below, what do you think about this video? I mean, do you agree with me on GM and Ford and Volkswagen having a long road ahead to actually catch up and beat Tesla? Do you think it's possible? Let me know your thoughts on that and everything else. And have a great day. Bye-bye.